Tony D here with a Piney podcast special talking about the Pineys. Book 12 is finally out. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Thanks for checking out the Pineys. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So the Kindle version is out. That's official. They approved that very quickly. The print version should be approved within the next 24 hours or so, barring any hiccups. So probably by the time you see this, it should be up. So this is the video where I talk about book 12. It's called The Piney and the Ghost Chasers of Ong's Hat. Excuse me. And very excited about it. First, let's just admire this cover, which I love. God. Vig Starmax, who is my cover artist, man, he just gets better and better, doesn't he? I mean, look at this crazy thing. It just looks great. I wanted to have it come out at the reader, so it was his idea to put him a little ahead of the logo. And man, I mean, just look at it. He really captured what I was going for. I really wanted the sort of crazy portals. You could see in the portals 3 different versions of Ong's hat, which is important to the story. I won't give it away. This is the, as Hemingway calls it, the purple bastard that they fight in this book. And he's a very slippery customer. Goes all the way back to the original devils that were summoned by Mother Leeds, and I'll try not to give away too much of the story in this video, but I'll talk about what it touches upon historically, and in terms of the folklore. Now, the folklore is around Ong's hat this time, and for those of you who don't know the story of Ong's hat, it goes something like this. Jacob Ong was a settler. Probably around the early 1800s. I don't think it was much earlier than that. And then him and his group were headed into the Pine Barrens to look for land to build somewhere. And they got someplace in the pines, and finally someone said, "Jacob, where should we build our town?" And he took off his hat and he threw it in a tree and he pointed at it and said, "There." And they built the town around the tree, and the town was called Ong's Hat. And that's the initial story. And then there are other stories connected to Ong's Hat. And the idea of most of the other stories is weird things happen in Ong's Hat. And it kind of started with the initial disappearance of the town. Now, a lot of towns in the Pine Barrens, there are ruins or, just structures that nobody lives in anymore that just faded away into nothingness. Because what you have to understand is a lot of these towns in the Pine Barrens were just built. They just built them. They didn't even own the land. I mean, the Ong's Hat settlers were settlers. So they just went there and said, "Wow, let's build here." And nobody stopped them, and nobody had any deeds or anything like that. At least not then. Later, I assume that was the case. I'm not exactly sure when. I guess that would have been, possibly sometime looking around the mid to late 1800s. Certainly by the 1900s, you had to have a deed. But back in the pines, you could still find stone markers that indicated land, demarcations of land surveys, I guess you would say. So where somebody's land would end if you had a farm or a section of the forest in the pinelands, and those can go back. Those can go back 1700s. I imagine there's 1600s. Maybe there's probably 1 or 2 of them out there. Those would be closer to the coast, most likely. Now, Ong's Hat, the actual Ong's Hat, where it is, well, more like where it was, it's at the beginning of the Bitchute Trail, which is a hiking trail in New Jersey. And that's where Magnolia Road and the Bitchute Trail start. And there's a parking lot there. And the parking lot is called Ong's Hat Parking, or on the Ong's Hat parking lot. That lot is where the village used to be. And the reason I know that is there is a website called historicaerials.com. And if you go there, you can see different areas of the country with the Google Maps layered year by year. And then as you go past Google in the past, there are aerial maps. And then they gather up all the ones they can and put them in this website. So it's very interesting to go back in time and watch as much as you can unfold. And so the earliest map in the Pemberton area is, I believe, from 1931. And that map, it's black and white, and it's just a picture from a plane. And you can see the roads, some that you recognize that are still there today. And then you could see at the corner of the map, Ong's Hat. It says it on the map, and you can see tiny little buildings where the structures were. They're no longer there. So the village actually existed. That to me is the only known picture of it. I mean, there may be more. Sometime in the 30s, they say, or in the 1970s, no one's really sure, the last known inhabitant of Ong's Hat disappeared mysteriously. Now, what happened? No one's really sure. There's been rampant speculation, of course, but the most likely thing is that the last inhabitant just died or the last inhabitant just left, because that's what happened to some towns. They just, the further in the past you go, if a town just died, like all the young people left and there was no industry, no jobs, no farms, people would just leave. They'd just up and leave. So that's kind of what probably happened to Ong's Hat, but the rumors persist. Was it aliens? Was it interdimensional travelers? That's it's more of an internet story that was generated, I think, possibly for a game, but it is based on. I've seen both. I've seen that, and I've seen actual people writing in books. Oh, Ong's Hat. It's a strange place where weird things happen. There's also just weird stuff that happens in the Pines, not too far from Abe's Hat, and I think you can check it out on Google Maps. Let's see if I can find it. But so you can go to Google Maps and you can type in Ong's Hat, and you can see the map here, right here. And that's see Batona Trail, Ong's Hat parking. This is where the village was. And it's off of Magnolia Road. There's an Ong's Hat Road, but that's all the way over here. That's not where the village was. The village was over here where the parking lot was. And you can turn on the satellite and check the trees in the area. And if I can find it, somewhere not too far from Ong's Hat, there's a bunch of crazy letters they're just carved into the forest. I forget where they are now. I guess it's not that close, but they're somewhere on one of these maps. Is it over here? No. There's just a few odd places you could find in the Pine Barrens. Weird letters that are carved into the forest. You got to be a very specific spot. Somebody who made a video pinpointed it for me, and I lost it. I don't know where it is off the top of my head, but it's really cool looking. Just random letters carved into the forest. It's crazy. There's a section of the forest. There's just a bunch of trees down. Now it's probably a forest fire, but it looks like something big landed on all the trees and knocked them all down. So the just kind of strange stuff happens in the Pine Barrens, and so Ong's Hat is just one of those places that they say is very strange and odd. So that's why I used it. Now you might say, "Oh wait, if you're a Pineys fan, you know the name of the town the characters are from they're from Abe's Hat, New Jersey." I named the town Abe's Hat after Ong's Hat. It's an homage to Ong's Hat, and then I based the town. It's loosely based on Chatsworth, which is this is the T-shirt from Chatsworth, capital of the Pines. So it's kind of a combination of the two, and there is a little nod to how Abe's hat got its name in this book of the Pineys. So see if you can catch that. It's just a one quick line. Yeah, so Ong's hat is very central to the story. But also central to the story is a place called Ancora. This is in Hamilton, New Jersey. Here's Ancora. Well, that's a White Horse Pike. Ancora is actually, what the hell is it? The psychiatric hospital. Oh, all the way over here. So, yeah, so technically Ancora is over here, but this is Ancora Hospital, which originally had a lot of stuff to it. This is now mostly just the complex. I think it still has a fire station, post office, and police station, but originally there was also housing for everybody who worked at Ancora. But the town itself, I'm not sure if it was founded here. This is where the hospital is. I mean, Google Maps is saying Ancora's all the way over here, but I think that's where the sign is to Ancora. The original town, oh, here you can see where all the old houses were. They're all torn down. The original town was established in 1860, and that's the opening scene in the prologue. We start at 1860. George Haskell and the Spiritualists, they have founded Ancora as a town full of communist psychics. And that is very true. And I know that because I got it off the website about Ancora and the history of Ancora. I met a guy tonight at my talk. He actually worked at Ancora and told me some interesting things about that. He confirmed that he had been in the tunnels. There are tunnels in Ancora. They used to move people to different places. I know when I think of mental health, I think, underground tunnels. But yeah, and you can see my videos on Ancora for more details on that. This was also the site of the tuberculosis sanitarium in the early 1900s, and it was called Sunny Rest. And the Sunny Rest entrance was along 143 here. I tried to find it the other day, and I couldn't find it. They may have torn it down for some reason. But it was there, and I saw it, and it was really cool looking because it was like this ancient iron wrought gate that it just looked really cool. It was all overgrown, and it said Sunny Rest in metal letters. I wonder if I could find it on Google Maps. I guess you wouldn't be able to see it. It was all overgrown at the time. But it was very, very cool. I hope they didn't tear it down. Maybe this is it here? Kind of looks like an entrance there, but hard to tell from the satellite. So part of the idea of the book is there's three groups. There's the spiritualists in the beginning. There's some scientists, which I won't spoil it, but they're involved. And then there are ghost chasers. Now, in my travels, I keep running into ghost chasers because we occasionally do the same events. And no shade, but I make fun of ghost chasers in this. Don't get mad about it. It's just all in good fun. But they are in between the spiritualists and the scientists. So like the spiritualists are all about spirituality. The scientists are all about the science, but the ghost chasers are kind of in between. Because on the one hand, they want to believe in the same sort of things the spiritualists do, but on the other hand, they're trying to use science to prove their point. That's kind of the dynamic there, along with the overarching story of the characters and the Purple Bastard, which again, I don't want to give away too much of the story. And the mythos of Ong's hat, which I pretty much use it all up in this book. So I don't think we'll be going back to Ong's hat anytime soon. Same thing with Angkor. I think I covered that pretty good. And also there is another rumor about the Veterans Rest, which again I won't. Here it is, the Veterans Haven, and there was a folk tale about that. Which again, read the book. Or come to one of my talks. I talked about it tonight. So it's fascinating to me. It's always fascinating to me to read about the Pines and talk about the Pines. As you can see, this is New Jersey. It's still, very populated, but still a lot of woods. Still 1 million acres of, here's Wharton State Forest. You can see, I'm sort of looking for the letters. I want to show you that if I can find them. But, it's a fascinating area. And I hope in the future it'll be there. I'm a little worried. They're building so damn much these days. And it's so easy to tear down trees and build something rather than to tear down old buildings and build something. But we'll see what happens in the future. But in terms of the book, I will probably I'll probably be able to order my copies within the next 24 hours. So I'm hoping to have them. Amazon's usually pretty good in getting me them, but this is the first time they'd be printing them. So I probably won't get actual physical copies of 12 until sometime in August. So if I had to ballpark it, if I can order the stuff tomorrow, maybe by the end of the month I might have some. So the next show would be August the 5th. I'll be back at the LBI book swap again. The next show for me is Saturday in July. That's at White's Bog. And then next week I'll be in Bordentown Library, which I'm very excited about because book 7 of the Pineys touches upon Napoleon III, who moved to Bordentown in the early 1800s. And he is a character in book 7. And they say he shot a cannonball through the chest of the Jersey Devil. So we touch upon that tale. So this is all part of what I love to do. I love talking about the Pines. Oh, is this it? No. I'm telling you, if I could find those damn letters, I would. Somebody online had a video about it. And but you can see here, there's just forest after forest after forest. And they're always doing something in the Pines. But it's very important that we preserve the Pines because it is where we get all our water. There's a giant aquifer underneath South Jersey. It's where, here's Chatsworth Festival Commission right there. It's, we get our water. We can't live without the damn water, people. I know you got a farm, but you got to have water. Gots to have some water. So, yeah. So that's book 12. It's called The Piney and the Ghost Chasers of Ong's Hat. So, just get back to the cover. Once again, hope you'll check it out. And a lot of people ask me, do I have to read the other books to know what's going on? I try to write it like episodes of a TV show. So, the answer is no and yes. No, they're separate. But if you want to get the full experience, well, of course, you'd want to read all the books in order to get the wind up. But, you could just jump to this one. It's a full story. It's not ending on cliffhangers and you won't know what's going on. I don't think. I mean, look, I would advise to get a good sort of baseline for the Pineys, you got to read 1 and 2 at least. That would be the baseline. After that, I think you're good to go. But you do you. I mean, my books are only $9 each. This is $8.99, or this is the Kindle edition. It's $2.99, and then the actual physical book, which I know you love, is $8.99. That's a pretty reasonable deal. I I kept it at $7.99 as long as I could. Then Amazon raised their rates, and I had to raise mine. So it's still $8.99. I think that's a pretty good deal. I mean, it's a whole story. You can't beat it with a stick. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan somewhere in the house. Thanks for tuning in. See ya in the next one.